Good evening, traders. It's your boy Strutonly again. Today I want to talk about the traders dynamic index. We usually call it the TDI, right? So before I start, I urge you to listen carefully to what I say. Yeah, I know the graphics might not be at its best level as someone who is just starting this YouTube channel, but what I have is very important for you. So without wasting your time, we wanna go on to the traders dynamic index, which is usually called the TDI. So I shall open my notes on the traders dynamic index. Right. Okay. uh First we want to know what is it that the traders dynamic index consists of, and right, what it constitutes, right? So let me go to my sketch so that I can show you something. Let me remove, right. uh the traders dynamic index with first we can talk about the what we call the Bollinger Bands, which are the boundaries. They are in blue, right? So we have the, sorry, I need blue here, right? Yeah. So the Bollinger Bands, these are our Bollinger Bands, right? These two, this one and this one, are called the Bollinger Bands, right? The installation of these indicators, I've uploaded them on the first video. So if you haven't seen the first video, go back to and see how you install our BTMM indicators. So we said these are the Bollinger Bands. We now want to see our MBL line, which is the market baseline. Okay, so the market baseline is in yellow, so we shall use yellow. This is the market baseline, right? Having the market baseline, we need something in green, right? Something green. Okay, now we want to see price movement, which is the price line. This is how the price will be moving. Also, we want to also see something red. Yeah, something red. Okay, something like this, right? So we said we have got let me use black here, black, right? So we said we have got one, the Bollinger Bands, which are in blue. We've got two, the MPL line, which we referred to as the market baseline, right? We also said we have three, our price line, which is green, right? Then four, we had the, let me create some space here. Four, before I continue, let me add one of the line, the lines that have been deleted. Okay, so the fourth, yeah, this one, the fourth is the traders signal line. So this constitutes our TDI. Okay, maybe I can use charts to show you the traders signal line, the traders dynamic index, right? Let me take this one for example. So what we are saying, this one, these are the Bollinger Bands, right? After the Bollinger Bands, we have this yellow line here. This is what we call the market base line, right? We move to the green one, this one, this green line. This is what we call the price line. We also have that one in red, this red one. This is what we call the traders signal line, right? So these are the components which constitute the traders dynamic index, right? Okay, so we want to look at the traders dynamic index concept, right? Okay, so on the traders dynamic index concept, we want to first look at what we call the TDI shark fin. I think I've talked about this on my last video, though I wasn't concentrating on the TDI. I said the TDI shark fin, for example, this one here, I think you can clearly see this is the movement that price make going outside the Bollinger Bands and returning into the Bollinger Bands. That movement is what we refer to as the TDI shark fin. Also, on the TDI, another concept we want to look at is what we call the MBL bounce, right? Before I go further, mind you, I told you that the TDI shark fin sometimes might help us to look for entries depending on the structure of the market. For instance, you can see this TDI shark fin here. If you see from this point, the market dropped all this. This is H4. You can see H4, TDI shark fin, and price moved down very hard. You can see there's a lot of pips from where the price started to fall, right? So the TDI shark fin H4 might be used as an entry point depending on the structure of the market. We want also to talk about the MBL bounce, right? The MBL bounce here is where we get something like an MBL bounce here. This is the first MBL bounce here. If you look clearly, this is the point here where we had the MBL bounce. That was the point, and price made a zero drawdown push downwards. So usually such moves pay big time. So you have to be aware of the TTI, shark fin, MPL bounds, right? Then we might have bounds of boundary. What is that we refer to bounds of boundary? The Bollinger Bands are what we refer to as the boundaries. If you can see here, we had a bounds of boundary here. This is where on the Bollinger Bands where price bounced here. If you can clearly see, price went nicely high, right? So you should also be aware of the Bollinger Band, the boundary bounds of, right? We also want to look at another concept that you should be aware of on the traders dynamic index, which is the flat MPL, right? If you can check this region here where the MPL is on level 50, yeah, so whenever we have the MPL on level 50, usually the markets are choppy and you are advised not to enter such markets. Hence you wait for an MPL bounce. Usually it's an MPL bounce which gives us the buyer's direction. For instance, here we had to wait for the MPL bounce here, then price nicely moved down, right? So what is it that will be happening when price is consolidating? Usually the dealer is pushing up on the lower time frames, which are our M1, M5, M15, H1 if we are on H4 time frame. So the dealer has to exhaust the lower time frames before to acquire liquidity to continue in the proper direction, which is our trend, right? So this was a good example of a reset trade. I think I won't talk about reset trades on, I won't make a video of reset trades alone. I will have to talk about reset trades here. So we have what we call reset trades, right? Usually reset trades do happen at 200 EMA. This is where we usually find the reset trades. What do we imply here? The reset trades, the name comes from the fact that we are in a downtrend, but the market has been exhausted. So the dealer needs liquidity to continue pushing down. So he makes a stop hand high to the 200 EMA. This is a stop hand. He makes a stop hand high to the 200 EMA. Having reached that position, having reached that area, it then consolidates and then takes his intended direction. This is what we call the reset trade. So usually the reset trade is just a trend continuation setup. I think this is all for reset trades. You can go on your chart and check usually when price is going in the intended direction and it retraces to the 200 EMA, makes an M or a W, then continue in the intended direction. Right, that is what we call the reset trade. I think we also need to look at our traders dynamic index is a scalping tool. Usually we check for the crossovers wherever we have the green line and red line crossing. For instance, we can check here. We had the green line and red line crossing and price fall down. So these are just short moves That's why we say it can also be used as a scalping tool. So if you want to take a buy, someone would have taken a buy here where we have this crossover here, and this was this buy, if you can check this buy. So this will be just short moves, but this now requires someone who has got more experience with the market to do scalping using the traders dynamic index. Okay, so we want to talk now about the TDI corrections. Okay, so I want to remove this. What is it that we call TDI corrections? TDI corrections. I'm sorry. So these corrections, what is it that we expect to see on TDI corrections? I'll use my chart like this. I'll use my phone like this. Let's say we have got these ones. This is M1, this is M5, this is M15, right? On TDI corrections, on the time frames, if you can see here, M15 is the higher time frame. Let's say M15 is the higher time frame which is making a buy. The MPO is moving in the upward direction, right? So as M15 is buying, I'm sorry, right? So as M15 is buying, M5 will make this move. It buys, then gets exhausted, it drops down again to match the direction of the MBO of the M15. This dropping that is happening here before the MBO of the M5 continues up, it's a retracement which needs to be corrected so that M15 and M5, this dropping here, it has to be corrected so that M15 and M5 will start going in the same direction. If, as you can see now, they will be going in the same direction. If they are doing that, you can ignore M15 and go to M5 to look for an entry. Once M5 starts buying again here, you could make this an entry point, because now M15 and M5, for now M15 is our bias direction, so M5, which is the lower time frame, has to agree with M15 so that we can take our trades. So here was our entry point. But you can also go down to M1. When other time frames are going up, M1 is also going up. But because this is a smaller time frame, what you are saying is we have M1 going up. M1 is a smaller time frame. It will quickly exhaust before other time frames exhaust. So it has to retrace this retracement. Then it corrects that retracement. It quickly reaches again exhaustion. It has to retrace. We have another retracement before making another move up, because it is a smaller time frame. So you can also use M1 to make your entry, but you have to remember that it has many drops and it reaches our extreme levels quickly. So you go to smaller time frames when you see the direction of your higher time frames. Usually we want to see this on, let's say, when we are making our M, the second leg, that movement I have illustrated will be taking place. So you usually want to take your trades on the second leg. Usually we said we want to take trades on the second leg. Okay, so this is all we can say about TTI corrections. So I think this was a helpful session. Thank you traders for paying attention. See you next time.